Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to draft a cup bustier with keyhole neckline. Materials required for this tutorial are pattern paper, tape rule, pencil, cleaner, marker, scissors, straight ruler, and also French curve. So in order to start my work, I'll come down by 0.5 inch from the start of my pattern paper. This straight line will serve as my starting line. Then on this straight line, I'll mark my shoulder. Shoulder is 8 inches, and I also mark the neck width, which will be 3.5 inches. After I mark the 3.5 inches, I'll come down by 3 inches for my neck depth. I'll then take my neck curve using the French curve. You can also use your free hand to do this. Then when that is done, I'll go to the shoulder. Then I'll come down by 8 inches from the shoulder to get my armhole. This is my shoulder divided by 2 because shoulder is 16. 16 divided by 2 give me 8 inches. That's what I'll use to create my armhole. Once that is done, on the armhole line, I'll come down by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect from that 0.5 inch to my neck width. Once I'm done with that, still on the armhole, I'll come down by 4 inches. That's the midpoint of my armhole. Then I'll go out by 0.5 inch at that midpoint. Then I'm drawing this straight line in order to create my armhole. Then I'll create my armhole curve connecting from my shoulder to that 0.5 inch, from the 0.5 inch to the armhole line, that's the chest line. After that, I'll place my tape from my shoulder. Then I'll mark my bust point. I'll mark my under bust point, my half length, and also 1 inch for sewing allowance. After I've marked it, I'll draw a straight line on those measurements to mark it out so that we'll continue our work. Once I'm done drawing a straight line, I'll label it so that we don't get confused. The first line is the chest line, the second line is the bust, the third line is the under bust, the fourth line is the half length, and the last line is the sewing allowance. So once I'm done with that, I'll come to the bust line, then I'll mark 4 inches. I'll come to the under bust, half length, and also the sewing allowance. This is in order for me to take my darts, and how I got my 4 inches is my bust span, that's nipple to nipple, divided by 2. My bust span is 8 inches, divided by 2 will give me 4 inches, and that's how I marked my 4 inches. So once I'm done with that, in order to achieve a perfect cup for my bustier, I'm going to measure the distance between my bust point and my under bust point. Then I'll make a perfect circle. So the distance between my bust point and my under bust point is 3 inches. So I labeled it with pencil, though it's not very clear, but I labeled it with pencil 3 inches. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to place my tape on that bust point and make a perfect circle around that bust point using that 3 inches. Just do what I am doing, just follow exact step I'm taking, and you achieve the same result. As you can see, I have my circle. If you want it to be easier, you can also use a compass. You just insert your pencil and use your compass, and you achieve the same circle. So once that is done, the next thing I'll do now is to look for the midpoint of my shoulder. The midpoint of my shoulder is 2.25. So once I mark the 2.25, I'll use a straight ruler to connect from my dart line straight to the midpoint of my shoulder this way. So once that is done, I'll come down to my half length and my sewing allowance, and I'll mark 1.5 inch towards the open end of my pattern paper. Then towards the close end, I'll mark 1 inches. Then I'll do the same thing on my sewing allowance, my half length, and also my under bust. So once I'm done marking them, I'm going to use a straight ruler to connect all the dots from the under bust straight to the sewing allowance on both sides of the dart line. Once I'm done with that, I'll come down by 1 inch from my bust line. I'll come down by 1 inch, then I'll use French curve to create a curve connecting from that 1 inch to the lines this way. After that, I'll come to the chest line, then I'll come down by 1 inch from the chest line. Then I'll go in by 0.5 inch. Then I'll draw a straight line. I'll just connect it this way. Once that is done, I'll place my French curve to connect from the dart line to this 0.5 inch that I marked, that I came in by. So in order to be accurate and be sure of what I'm doing when I'm creating my curve, I'll mark 1.5 inch in this way. This 1.5 inch is to mark the maximum distance that my cup is going to have. My cup is not supposed to exceed this 1.5 inch that I mark. So I'm going to place my French curve this way and make sure that it doesn't exceed my 1.5 inch, just to make sure that my cup is not too big. So I'll connect from that dart line to that 0.5 inch to create my cup. Just watch and follow what I'm doing step by step and you achieve the same result. So the next thing I'll do now is to create the second part of my cup. So I'm going to place my French curve on this dart line and connect it from that dart line to my chest line this way. Once that is done, I'll come to the circle above the chest line and I'll mark 0.75 on both sides of my dart line. So after that, the next thing I'll do now, on the bust line, I'll come up by 1 inch. Then I'll use my French curve to connect the 0.75 to this 1 inch. This is done in order to tighten the upper part of my cup. So after that is done, the next thing I'll do now is to close my cup. So I'll place my French curve this way, then I'll connect from that 0.75 on this side down to this 1 inch that I came down from the chest line. And I'll also do the same thing at the other side. I'll close from the 0.5 inch to the other part of the cup. So at this point, before I continue, I'll do a little bit of labeling because it's very important to label so you don't get confused after cutting. So I labeled the up part up and I labeled the down. Then this side I labeled it center front and the other side side front. It's very important. You can see it as if it's nothing until when you want to transfer it to your fabric. That's when you understand the importance of labeling. So once that is done, the next thing I'll do is to take my keyhole. So I'll place my tape on my neckline and I'll come down from my neckline by 3 inches. Then I'll place my French curve on my armhole. I'll connect from that armhole down to these 3 inches in order to create my keyhole. What I just did with my pencil was that I labeled it 3 inches so that, just for clarity's sake, it's good you label everything you are doing so that when you come back you don't start asking yourself, what did I do here? So I'll label the up part yoke because that will be our yoke. Then the next thing I'll do now is to impute my round body's measurement. So I'll mark the round bust. I'll place the measurement divided by 4. I'll mark it on this bust and also place the same measurement on the chest line. I'll mark. Then I'll place my tape on this dart that I took. The dart here is 0.75 plus 0.75 will give me 1.5 inches. Then I'll mark the 1.5 inches. Then I'll add 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then I'll do the same thing for this place. I'll add 1.5 inch plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then at this under bust, I'll mark the under bust measurement. I will impute it. Then I'll add this dart. This dart is about 2.5 inch. Then I'll place it. Then I'll also add 2 inches for sewing allowance. Once I'm done with all of that, I'll connect the dots. Then I'll cut. Please, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos. So this is me marking out the parts I'm going to cut, the excess parts that I will not be needing for my style to come out. So I'm done cutting and this is what it looks like before joining. So I'm going to join it now so that you will see what it looks like also. So this is it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.